So today I'm going to talk about Lesbian Visibility, Lesbian Strength. It was basically a focus for the march and festival in 1995. We used to have a theme every year for the festival, and I thought to myself, wouldn't it be a good idea if one year the theme of Lesbian and Gay Pride was lesbians? It would provide us with the opportunity to reverse the trend towards male domination within the Pride Trust and the event. So the idea was approved by the board of the Pride Trust, and then we put it to the members. And when it went public that this is what we were intending to do, there was a rather bizarre and disheartening reaction. So there was a magazine which was called MX and published by a guy called Tony Claffey, and he published in the magazine an article entitled Dicks and Dykes Divided. I think he was probably thinking of Dick Van Dyke. I'm not quite sure why he chose that. It's very sad. I don't have a copy of the article anymore, and I don't know whether anybody's ever bothered to keep it, and perhaps all to the good that it has been lost. But anyway, he wrote of militant lesbians and bull dykes who take over every organisation they join. I mean, like which one? That lesbians eat too much, try to grow moustaches, wear no makeup, and have fights in every pub or club they go to. He mentions Hackney Lesbian Strength and Gay Pride, which held two marches, one for gay men and one for lesbians, and he approves of that, but it spoilt the effect by having a women's tent at the event but not a men's tent. Although many lesbians would find the article he's written offensive, he is only stating what most gay men believe, and it must be faced if we are going to move forward together. I mean, considering everything he'd just written, I doubt that any woman would ever want to move forward with him. So in my diary, Saturday the 17th of September, last week's MX magazine contained a ridiculous article, one presumes, by Tony Claffey called Dicks and Dykes Divided. My response has been printed along with two other letters for and one against. So I obviously wrote and said this is a load of old rubbish and you're a misogynistic old dinosaur. I also hear that Duncan Irvin and Robert Ayrton, so Duncan Irvin ran the Central Station pub and Robert Ayrton was the secretary, I think, of the Gay Business Association, were against the focus as well. Friday, the 23rd of September, Tony Claffey has published an open letter to me in MX, which is quite literally waffle. And Robert Ayrton has also written making a stupid remark about women being a minority, saying, you do realise what a sin you have committed. You've questioned the positive discrimination towards some women on the lesbian and gay scene. Only women are allowed under the rules of political correctness to question matters of this sort. Men are not a minority and their views therefore do not count. As a gay man, I can only increase lesbian visibility at Pride by not turning up. Thanks for the offer, Rob. I remember Teddy Witherington, who was the festival director, he said, well, you know, if I went to Compton's every night and drank 9 bottles of Beck's and 5 Bloody Marys, I imagine I'd find nobody disagreed with me either. He wrote his very serious open letter to Adam Jeans, chair of the Pride Trust. Let's make it clear, it was not an attack on lesbians, but on lesbian militancy which discriminates against gay men. So meanwhile, the Lesbian Avengers went out that week and picked up as many copies of MX as they could find, because it was free, it was in all the bars, and took them down to a recycling dump and recycled them. So I then organised a letter of protest against MX and sent it to all the major gay organisations, and they all signed it. Our organisations are involved in campaigning for lesbian and gay rights in many different areas and welcome debate when it is founded on rational argument, not prejudice. To move forward and overcome these conflicts together, it is necessary to address the discrimination rather than repeat the prejudices which fuel it. This can only be achieved through a recognition of the discrimination within our community faced by women, people living with HIV and AIDS, people of colour and disabled people, and by supporting their right to live free from abuse, both physical and verbal. The signatories to this letter deplore the fact that an article of this tone should have appeared in a lesbian and gay magazine. And at the same time, Duncan Irvin, who was the landlord of the Central Station, which was kind of the surrogate lesbian and gay centre by that point, arranged a thing called the Gay Words events, that the Lesbian Avengers have challenged MX to a debate, and they've accepted. And then it all takes an absurd turn, because it was at that point that MX went into liquidation. I mean, the Lesbian Avengers assumed that because MX no longer existed, Claffey wasn't going to turn up, so they didn't turn up. And then, in fact, Claffey did turn up. It just turned into a big row about pride. So the usual subject of a women's tent came up and was thoroughly savaged. The idea of a men-only tent was brought up. And then there was some fearful hybrid, which was called a unity tent, was invented. So MX went bankrupt, and Claffey formed a new magazine, which was called QX. And it remained judiciously silent about the whole matter. I very proudly still have my Lesbian Avenger badge, if you can see that.